Farm Doc 1, thank you for the question. I think it's brilliant because I realized in post some of the questions that other people had asked me personally, and two that I saw. There could be some confusion about the temperature in the house. I want to make something really clear. Nobody should be changing the temperature in their house so that now they're shivering and freezing whenever they're getting in bed, in the sense that they can't warm up. That's not the point. The point is not to go to sleep actually feeling cold. Let me get into the physiology, just like you asked. And I think that it'll clarify some things for people and give them a better understanding, which will ultimately lead them, I think, to be able to make better health choices for themselves, which I think is ultimately the ultimate goal. So let's talk about some things that we do know for sure. One thing for sure that we can test, we see this, we know this. Your body temperature is on a circadian rhythm, and at nighttime, sort of with the expectation that sleep and that restoration process is coming, your body knows that it optimally is going to do that and exist in that restorative piece. It's going to be a few degrees colder than actually Fahrenheit than what you typically run in the middle of the daytime. And so an hour or two before you start to fall asleep, literally your body will start to cool you off. But prior to the sleep onset, right before, you have a precipitous drop. So your body, that's where it has to go. We'll say it seems optimal, or it wouldn't be sort of chasing that, but that's where the body's trying to go so that it can really slow your metabolism, slow your heart rate, slow your blood pressure, put you sort of in slaughter phase, as it's like, all right, go time to restore and heal the body, wash out the brain, store memories. And even the most incredible thing, like in stage 5 sleep, your brain literally is taking the information that you've contacted during the day and learned, both physical things that you've done, activities, as well as information. It's organizing it and arranging it and synthesizing it in ways to where you can sort of understand it better or more thoroughly, or abstract from it new concepts or ideas. You can try to learn to play a certain riff on a guitar. You wake up and then all of a sudden, I play guitar. If you've done this, the next day you wake up and it's like, wow, it seems so much easier to be able to play it than the night before. That's because of the processes that are going on in sleep. So we know that the body temperature drops for sleep, and with the physiology, it seems it works in harmony. That's part of the process of the restoration, being in deep sleep at nighttime. So the part of the house and why that matters is, I'll say twofold from my perspective. And this is I would say like a 5,000 foot view. This is not granular down on the ground, and it's not really 10,000 foot either, but understanding some really simple basic physiology. You have two parts of your autonomic nervous system, your sympathetic and your parasympathetic. The sympathetic nervous system would be the fight or flight, and the parasympathetic would be the part of you which we, sort of colloquially said, like rest and relax. So you essentially need the absence of fight or flight. You're sleeping. You're essentially trying to get to a place where there's no longer does my body need to produce and fight and do all these things. It just needs to restore so I can wake up the next day and go do it again. So we don't want sympathetic nervous system. So one way that you cool off if you were to get hot at nighttime. So you're not feeling freezing, but let's say in the middle of the night, all of a sudden now you get warm. One way is you sweat. So sweating, for one, it's uncomfortable. Like sweating in itself is uncomfortable, which could sort of provoke you to move back out of sleep because you're not rest and relax. But also too, the sympathetic nervous system has to kick in. That's the part of your nervous system that actually is the sweating part of the nervous system. If your parasympathetic nervous system was dominant, you would be dry, so to speak. So anyways, that could be a sympathetic trigger, which we don't need or don't want whenever we're sleeping. So we don't want to get hot in that sense because we're going to sweat. That'll bring us out of that deep sleep. So the other part is that you're going to seek cold because your body is like, hey, I need to be at this temperature to be in my restorative mode. And it wants to stay there, but it's like, we're getting too hot. So you're going to have to work yourself back out so that you can be awake or alert and move. Because what people also don't realize is that you literally become essentially paralyzed in deep, deep sleep. And there's obviously a purpose behind that. You're dreaming. You don't want to be acting your dreams out. That's what's happening in stage 5 sleep. So you have to prevent that. Your brainstem essentially shuts you off from information in or information out. So you kind of have to get out of that mode so that you can sort of reconnect the brain with the body to be like, we're hot, and now seek those cooler parts of your bed or throw the covers off. So you have, and this correlates perfectly with you have more nighttime awakenings, you spend less time in deep sleep. And that seems to fit perfectly with the physiology behind your sympathetic nervous system and moving and not moving at nighttime in your sleep and the temperatures. So just to be clear that the temperature being colder at night, I think the key is you're trying to be in this balance of you're not wanting to be cold because that would actually drive your sympathetic nervous system because that's a fight or flight response. I'm too cold, I need to warm up. But the big thing is most people, I think, flirt the balance closer towards getting too hot, which is going to make them sweat and have to wake up and move and do these things that's taking them out of sleep. So you're trying to find this optimal temperature, which could be a little bit different for sure for everybody. But I think for most people, it's going to be colder because what you're trying to do is even though the house is cold, you're going to have to bundle up more, but then you get in that you feel real cozy. So there's that like golden spot where it's kind of like you couldn't get too hot necessarily if you wanted to because you're sort of maximally bundled anyways and it's perfect. So you're trying to float that balance of not going too cold, obviously, but I think most people spend too much time in they're flirting much more with the overheating or getting too warm. And so I think the colder temperature in the house allows you to stay and avoid that getting too hot, if that makes any sense. So I hope that answers it better. If not, message me and say, Saucerman, I think I'm more confused. I'll talk with you directly if you still have a question about it. But that's like sort of data sets and basic physiology, I think, to make sense of it. So again, clearly we can show it seems that people's quality of sleep is improved as we decrease the temperature to a certain point. And so again, you can just consider that information and whenever you're setting your thermostats to try to sleep better. So anyways, thanks guys. Hope it helps.